Hello and welcome to Conversations in Horror. I am your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the co-festival director and program director of Something Wicked Film Festival and Events. And welcome to our show today. Now, this month of May, as you all may know, we are doing a special Zombie Appreciation Month. That means what we are doing is we are, talking a lot about zombie movies, and we are actually doing 2 episodes per week, which means that me and my staff are doing a lot of episodes for you. That being said, I hope you have been enjoying some of the podcasts we've been doing, and the one we're doing tonight is one that I actually really enjoy, but it's more of a cult film and not so much of a film that a lot of people enjoy. So it'll be interesting to hear what my co-host Sarah Panazzo says about this movie. Tonight's movie, or today's movie, is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. It's a very polarizing film, or not really polarizing, one that just people just overlook a lot of. But I'm hoping to change people's minds about this film today. So, Panazzo, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So, children shouldn't play with dead things. You have to. I know I love this movie, but we've already discussed a little bit about this, had not seen the movie prior to us doing the podcast.
Yes, so I just watched it for the first time ever today. For the longest time, for some reason, I thought it had something to do with Stephen King, which it sounds like one of his short stories or short story collections, but I guess it's not. When I first started watching this movie, I was like, Kevin, dear Lord, what did you have me watching? But it easily fell into one of my favorite genres of horror of I can't wait to see these teenagers get slaughtered. Out of a rating of bodies, the most recent Texas Chainsaw Massacre on Netflix, and this one takes the cake for the most hated character that I just wanted to watch get murdered the entire movie. And unfortunately, it took the entire movie.
You are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It was a super fun movie. I gotta say, it was really dark lighting wise. So there were little bits that I was like, wait, I gotta stop it, close my curtains, watch the scene again. But it was really fun. It was really funny. The lines were just hysterical at certain points. The acting was over the top. The monster makeup was phenomenal for like one of the earliest zombie movies of the like 70s. And I don't know, it was just a fun ride. Like you said before, like I didn't worry about falling asleep watching it because yeah, it's got its little bit of a slow opening, but at the same time I grew up doing theater. So I knew exactly who these people were and the roles that they were falling into. And I was like, oh my God, just get rid of this guy. Like, oh my God.
So it just dawned on me that I forgot that you came from the theater industry, so you could appreciate this movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you come from a theater background, you can appreciate it more because what you essentially have is a theater troupe who gives
Who decide to go over the top with we're going to make it seem like we're going to raise a spirit from the dead, and they mess it up really, really badly. But like every single character, I was like, I knew a person like this, I knew a person like that, and it it's over the top, but it's so much fun.
it is over the top, but I think some of the over the topness for me, because I grew up in this whole industry as well. I think the reason why I love it so much is because it is a theater troupe that this movie is about. So when I'm watching it, I'm seeing how over the top they all are, but they're also doing a performance. they they're theater actors who are doing a performance mostly because Alan Ormsby, who's Alan in the movie, is over the top from the moment that people see him.
Yeah, and that's another thing is everybody's named after themselves, which makes it very easy to remember who is who. But yeah, Alan, who wrote it, did the makeup, was the main star in it. phenomenal. I wish he would have done more. I know he wrote quite a few things and just like edited scripts afterwards and did some more makeup stuff, but like, what a shame.
It is a shame. So the thing about I'm going to jump around a little bit for this because you keep mentioning the makeup, and when I was rewatching it, and I never noticed it till now. When I was rewatching it, the makeup style reminded me a lot of the makeup for Romero's Night of the Living Dead and that Lucio Fulci's Zombie. I don't know if I don't know how familiar with those two movies you are.
Yeah, I am with the first one.
Oh, okay.
Second one, not so much. But no, I got hey, this is where Tim Burton got Beetlejuice vibe.
You might not be wrong from that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and it was funny how drastically different each of the zombies were. They weren't all exactly the same. Like there was the weird bloated body that gets unearthed by the roots, and then there's the main dead body that they're trying to resurrect. And then just all of the weird people. Like, I think it's one of the best zombie raised from the grave scenes with just how many people they have in that one spot.
Yes, I made mention of that too. I was like, I don't remember this scene until now when I was dissecting the movie. I'm like, holy shit, this is a wide angle scene. And you see like 15 freaking zombies coming out of the ground at the exact same time. This is a really creative shot.
Yeah, it was really good. And I mean, the actors who were the zombies were just so good. I think my favorite part is when Alan throws Anya to the zombies and she looks at him and all the zombies look at him like, really? Did you really just do that? But there was so much comedy in this film. It's unbelievable. Even when people are being like bitten to death and stuff like that, like it's very comedic.
Yeah, this is why I didn't know if you were gonna like it as much as I enjoyed it. For me, I found it hilarious, especially when Alan and the other, I can't remember the other young lady who's they're competing for attention. She's always
I can't remember. I remember their faces and that they all look like Scooby-Doo characters. Like the one guy is literally dressed as Shaggy, except he's a super buff dude. But
you're right about that now that I think about that.
Yeah.
These characters in this film are so funny because half of them think that what Alan's doing is this genuine play acting that he's doing, and the other are actually kind of like, is this real, Alan? Is this not? What's the joke? What are we here for? Type of thing.
And there's so many layers of that too from the beginning where he like does the prank inside the prank and the acting inside the acting. And then I was just waiting for him with his grimoire. I was waiting for him to open it up and be like, no, I made all this stuff up. But unfortunately, it was real.
You know what? When I was rewatching it, I had the same impression too, because everything else that Alan does is so fake and so over the top that you would think that the grimoire that he's reading from is actually fake too. But Lord, it's the only authentic thing about him.
Yeah, that and how gross he is. I mean, from the beginning, there's the wide angle shot of the new chick's butt where he's just obviously glaring at it and just staring head on while having a conversation with her from behind. And then he starts like stroking her with his little stick. And it's really creepy and makes the jokes about, oh, well, you're a virgin for the troop, so I guess you're mine. And it's like, ugh. It's really cringy, dude. And then it just kind of gets worse from there where he marries a corpse and yeah, he's not a great guy.
Well, yeah, and and I don't remember if I picked up on this in previous viewings of the film, but the way that he wields his power over everybody is actually really disturbing. Like all these people who are part of this acting troupe can't do anything else. And this could be the 70s. I'm not really familiar with what was going on with the acting world in the early 70s. So this could have been pulling from actual the way actors were back then. Part of a troupe, they have a contract and they're just kind of doing whatever they have to because they weren't making a lot of money back then and they were trying to make a living from there. That whole fear that everyone in that group has towards Alan is like Yeah, it's crazy.
It's realistic though. I mean, it's not just the troop that they're all in, it's his troop in particular, and he keeps threatening like, "Hey, I'm going to take away your jobs if you guys don't get on board with this."
Yeah.
And back being an actor, I mean, it's hard enough now being an actor of a ragtag team. So I can only imagine how bad it could have gotten in other things and how many things were swept under the rug just to please Alan.
That's a good point to make there. But I do want to commend the film because I don't think I see. It's been a year since I've seen this film. And I saw it a lot when I was younger. It came out in the 70s, so I probably saw this a shit ton during the 80s, beginning of the 90s, and then it kind of died off. Anyone who's listened to some of the previous episodes of the show will remember that I actually screened this as part of a trilogy of films for a zombie party I held. This was the only film out of the three that was not highly regarded, which is I don't usually bring it up too often. This is the one that people fell asleep for. They start walking away doing other things. They ain't paying attention to this one. Of the three movies.
Well, and the fact that it's made by Bob Clark, it's like I don't know how it's not more impressive and more highly regarded. Because yeah, it's like it's one of the first horror comedies I've ever seen. But like this is even before he did Black Christmas.
Mhm.
This is like his second major film.
I don't know. It might be. I can't think of
Yeah.
it. My Bob Clark is all over the place with films of his I like and don't like.
hmm
And his films get much better as they age, but Alan Ormsby, I think, did a couple of really great films at the beginning of his career, and then he started doing, like you said, editing and doing other
hmm
stuff, and then he kind of fell off the face,
Yeah.
industry, which is sad. I wish he had done more stuff, both as an actor and as a writer, and possibly even directed a few more things. But we have what we have here, and it's children shouldn't play with dead things. And it should just say Alan shouldn't play with dead things.
Yes, it really should.
But the thing is, you're right. This is probably one of the earlier horror comedies out there, and they play it serious the entire time, even though it is an acting troupe and they're acting their asses off or trying to up one each other.
Oh my gosh, yes. Especially like the two gay guys who are the ghouls, and they just constantly make gay jokes about themselves at the same time, and it's like just constantly everybody is putting each other down and trying to one up each other. And like I said, that's a theater troupe. All right there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, this early 70s, and I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't that many gay characters in horror movies like this. Yeah, but they're the ones they're at the very beginning, the opening when they're pulling Orville out of the grave, and then they're the ones who are actually doing the scaring at the very first part of the film before it's revealed that it's all just a prank.
Yeah, I mean, they even bury the one guy alive, and they're like, "Oh no, he could survive like 7 hours down there. It's fine."
Oh, Jesus. Some of the things in this movie were actually kind of crazy. But I did like the fact that Alan, of all people, was genuinely trying to be a kind of a magician slash conjurer and prove his point to everyone. But he was using his power to do it, which makes him what do you call it? What's the best word to describe a person like that? Besides being a jackass.
Egomaniac?
Egomaniac, that's a good one there. An egomaniac. And the only one who could compete with that was the one young lady, I can't remember her name.
I think it was Val.
Val? Okay.
I think so. But yeah, I mean, just looking at her, you can tell she was like the mama bear of the troop.
Mm-hmm.
And every time Alan would do something just like awful, and he'd put down her acting, and she'd one up and actually be good at
Yeah.
it. And getting over this.
So that being said, the one person who's not acting for most of the entire film is Anya, who is she's like the sightseer of this whole film, and no one believes anything she says because she's so eccentric. She's like,
yeah.
She's the only one that doesn't really. She fits, but she doesn't fit. Yet You know,
She's the over eccentric yes girl of the theater troupe of like, yes, we're gonna do everything for the art and like everything for Alan because that's what Alan wants. Until she realizes like, no, I'm getting some bad vibes about this. We need to get out of here. And it's funny because that was actually Alan's wife at the time when they were filming.
really, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah. So I thought it was interesting because I saw a little bit of chemistry between them, but I didn't know if it was like on purpose or not because I mean, I got the vibe he slept from like every woman on their team. But yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he did. But that information now just adds another layer to when I watch it again and I think about the character of Anya in the movie. Uh, the only truthful one out of
Yes.
everything, and the one scene I really enjoyed this time watching is the scene in which she finds herself sitting in the grave and preferring that position over not being in the grave. I don't think I really took much for that until now, because hindsight, you watch a movie and you see different layers each time you watch it. I see
Hmm.
a layer with this movie now, hence why I had a lot of notes. But I don't know. What were your thoughts on that?
I mean, like, I typically have a ton of notes about the movies we watch, and I had just about nothing other than like the super dark lighting and some of the weirder comments that they made, and just the quotes themselves are fantastic. Um, the one thing that really was really gross, and I'm glad they brought it up again later on, was when the new girl brought up that she lost her virginity as a brownie to an Eagle Scout, and I was like, brownies are in like third grade, and Eagle Scouts are like the oldest you can get. Like, I'm sitting there like this is disgusting, and then they bring it up again later, and I was like, okay, I'm not imagining things.
You know what? Until you mentioned it now, I didn't even know that because I've never kept track of those age groups.
Yeah, no, I was in Girl Scouts for the entire length that you could possibly be. So I'm sitting there like, ugh, that's like I get it was the 70s, but guys,
Oh my God. The 70s, I tell you, they were so this film was so innocent back when it came out.
I mean, you can definitely see some of the darkness that he gets into in Black Christmas with it, but this was like over the top comedy in some sections, mostly revolving around Alan doing ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, and the thing is that some of this I get, and this is why think was the norm for the 70s, is that you had a lot of these risque R-rated films back then. You had I'm trying to remember some of the other ones that he did. Oh, the one that I liked the most that he did, I completely forgot until now, was Deranged. But you also had what was that one? Alan Owensby did a lot of movies, but some of the movies that he did were like, oh, he did Popcorn. I knew there was another one I'm thinking of. Another film about people who are film enthusiasts. These were theater people. Of course, he's going to use that for his other types of films, and he has the same type of humor where it
Hmm.
pokes fun at themselves as well as the fact that it's a horror film. This one is poking fun at the fact that it's they're raising the dead. We're raising the dead. We're going
Hmm.
out there, we're raising the dead, and we're going to make fun of it as we're doing it, and inadvertently raise the dead itself. Um, but I did like the fact that this one was raised by witchcraft, or I guess demonology, witchcraft.
I was going with more of necromancy than
Necromancy.
anything. I mean, they do call out the devil quite a bit, so it's
Yeah,
like, did the devil himself come down and like raise everybody, or was it necromancy? It's kind of weird to figure out, but I mean, they're definitely zombies.
yeah. There's zombies, but they use a grimoire to raise them. Uh,
Yeah.
but that's the thing is, it's different.
Hmm.
They took a concept and made it different. And in my opinion, it worked. Uh, And the fact that, like I said, we've been talking about different types of zombie films this entire month. This is a different type of way of doing zombie films, despite the fact that it looks and plays like your typical Romero zombies. But there are some that are actually fast in this movie. I noticed that. I kept thinking they
Yeah.
were slow, but there's some fast ones in this movie.
Yeah, especially when they've got like the people they're chasing through the woods and stuff like that. And then let alone the fact that they got on a boat and survived getting on the boat and going across a lake to wherever they were going. It's like these are very agile zombies. They managed to go upstairs, they climbed through windows. I mean, they're not like the ones crawling on the ground who can't like step over a log in the way.
Yeah, I was going to save the whole thing of them getting on the boat to the end because the way they get on the boat and first you see the shot of the city and then you see the shot of them getting on the boat. Now, I guess they're gonna learn how to get that boat across the water to the city, but then of course that's an alternative to how the zombie apocalypse stops or starts, not stops, but starts.
Yeah. But I guess nobody's safe if they know how to like commandeer boats and drive them across the water.
That's where my reference to zombie comes in, but I think this one was made before zombie.
I believe
So
so.
the thing is that's where I was like, oh shit, zombie used that same damn thing about them coming over in a boat and then taking over the city. Ain't that some shit? I was like, wow. But this film was not, this was a cult film. When this came out, I'm sure it did horrible at the box office.
Oh, yeah.
Um, because I forget how I found out about this film. I do know that the title threw me off as well. Like I've told a lot of people before, children shouldn't play with dead things. It's not for me. It screams zombie film.
Hmm.
So I came to this movie really late as well. Not as late as you, obviously,
Yeah.
but pretty late.
But yeah, no, I think the whole title of children shouldn't play with dead things. Like, I mean, I wouldn't really consider them children. I don't know. Children shouldn't play with dead things definitely sounds more like a pet cemetery type deal than anything.
It does until you realize there's a bunch of theater people
Oh,
acting
yes.
with children.
Acting just, I mean, Alan is the biggest child.
But he does have the coolest outfit.
Oh my gosh. When he opens up his magical trunk in general, it's just like, what are you doing?
So, when I saw that, I was thinking of Herschel Gordon Lewis's Wizard of Gore. When I saw him, and this is just coming to me now because when I originally saw this years ago, I had never seen Herschel Gordon Lewis's Wizard of Gore. Now that I have, that's the first thing that came to mind when I saw him trying to bring out his cape, his mat, his chest of all of his paraphernalia and stuff like that. That's the first thing that came to mind. I kind of wonder how much everyone influenced each other around this time. So,
Yeah, it'd be interesting to learn how this actually fell because there's like little to no information at all on the internet about it. Like I've got a budget, I've got it was filmed in 14 days,
oh
but
shit,
outside of that, yeah, I mean, there's little to nothing about it. I know Bob Clark wanted to do a sequel to it and then he passed. Um,
uh,
it was like one of the last things he talked about writing, and then he was in a car crash, I believe, or whatever happened. Um, which is unfortunate because I would love to see this as a modern day thing with an acting troupe a la Bodies, Bodies, Bodies.
you know what? That would be, you know what? That's another movie that had a lot of people that you don't really like, and you can't wait till the main character gets killed.
Yeah. Like I said at the beginning, this is the top movie I've ever had of fastest I've wanted somebody to die. Because like Bodies, 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 they're all just like awful people. And I'm like, okay, these are like, you're supposed to hate these people. It's a parody. And then I think I said the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre where they
Yeah.
show like the origins and how awful they are to Leatherface's mom and how she dies because of it. And I'm like, it made me feel for him. And I was like, yeah, you get them. You show them. And this movie, I was just like, oh my God, these people. Like, I know these people. Just get on with it, please.
You know, I disagree. There's someone out there with the rights. This children shouldn't play with dead things. Should go out there and remake this movie for a modern day audience. I think it would be hilarious to make a modern day remake of this and stop making crappy sequels or reboots or what have you of stuff like The Craft Legacy.
We don't talk about that movie in this house.
I'm sure there's a whole bunch of films nowadays that we don't talk about anymore after we've seen them. How stuff like this gets made nowadays.
I
Uh,
wish they would take the bad movies and remake those ones instead of taking good movies and trying to make more money off of them because it's not working.
it works 1 out of every 10 times, maybe every 20. I'm being generous with every 10.
Yeah, you're being
Once every
very, very generous. But no, this is one of those that it's like it's a lot of fun and reintroducing it to a modern audience could be really fun.
Yeah, and the thing is, like I warned you, I said nothing happens for the first hour of the movie. It's a conversational piece. It's funny, but you have to get through that first hour to realize that all hell breaks loose the last third of the movie. It's For me, it was funny as shit to watch the first 2/3, and then the last 30 minutes is the zombies
Oh
just.
no, it's definitely fun and funny. The one-liners, the quips are great. I mean, the one scene where the guy says, "I peed my pants" like 20 times in 5 minutes. It's like, okay, this is that old school comedy that you don't get anymore.
No.
But yeah, I mean, you get an entire hour of hating Alan and who he is as a human being and a bunch of ridiculous comedy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think one of the things that doesn't work well in a lot of other films, but I think here, because even though all these characters may seem like they're the same, when they have these conversations with each other, you get to know each of them individually.
Absolutely.
They each have their own separate voice, which is not very common with a lot of ensemble films.
Hmm.
So I don't know what else I can possibly say about this movie because I thought I was going to have to convince you that it's a good movie, and yet you've already been convinced. I was a little surprised by that.
I love my horror genre mashups. So like horror comedy is one of my favorites to go to, and so this is just like it's old and it's cheesy, but it is done so well.
It is old. It's older than me. I've actually, like I said, this is a movie I really enjoy, and it's one of the films I think are underrated. Yet it's older than me, and nothing. And me knowing people who know me, they know I like a little bit of action here and there, and I like the slow burn. But this movie is a really slow burn as you get to know all the characters before
Yes.
their untimely demise.
Well, I feel like a whole lot more people are about to discover it and like it because I found it on Shudder. It was just released
Oh,
this
was it?
week. It was. So I think a whole lot more people are about to find it and love it. One, because it's Bob Clark. And I mean, how can you not like Bob Clark movies?
It gets overshadowed by Bob Clark's other movies,
Hmm.
unfortunately, and most people usually go to his Christmas Story and Black
Black
Christmas.
Christmas.
He's going to be known for Christmas movies, both the horror and comedy.
Hey, I'll take it.
So this one, he won't be known for zombie films, but he should be. Uh, that being said, are there any little final words you'd like to leave our audience with in terms of children shouldn't play with dead things?
Uh, Give it a chance. That's all I can say. Give it a chance. It is a lot of fun. And any theater nerds who listen to our podcast, go ahead and watch it. You're going to love it.
I concur. I think a lot of people who are in the theater arts will really enjoy this film. I didn't think about that until I rewatched it. For me, it was something that was just unconscious when I watched it because I understood the world that it was in. I want more people to watch this movie. As I said, this is one of my underrated favorite movies of all time. I think anyone who's writing screenplays, writers should also learn something in terms of how to write dialogue between an ensemble and how to differentiate all the characters in such a short amount of time. This is a film that takes place literally in maybe 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that. It's very short.
yeah. As soon as they get to the island, it literally is we have an hour before midnight. And then midnight comes, and then another 30 minutes before all hell breaks loose.
Yep.
So it is like literally a movie that takes place within 2 hours, and that's about it. That's very fast, but it's not enough time usually to get to know the characters, but they do a really good job with it in this movie. Now, that being said, even though it's a slow burn movie, the payoff is tremendous. I do want people to realize that if you're a zombie movie fan, the payoff is tremendous and you should really enjoy this. If you don't like zombie movies at all, well, you'll still enjoy this anyways because it's funny. So with that, I want to thank my special guest tonight, Sarah Banales, for joining me and discussing one of my all-time favorite films I think is underrated. Children shouldn't do things. I hope that you are enjoying this month's podcast on all of our zombie movies and Zombie Appreciation Month. Check out whatever ones have aired before now and check out the rest of the month's worth of films. Don't forget to check out and become a subscriber to our podcast because we could not survive without the continued patronage of the people who listen to our podcast. So make sure to watch some of our previous episodes and to tell other people about what you are listening to. Thank you so much for joining us at Conversations in Horror, and have a great day. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, produced by Kevin L. Powers, executive produced by Kelly A. Inoka, and originally filmed via Zoom technology. Conversations in Horror is hosted by Kevin L. Powers and co-hosted by various horror film lovers and filmmakers. To learn more about Mr. Powers, please make sure to check out his Patreon page and other social media platforms. Conversations in Horror is copyright 2024 Broken Lighthouse Pictures production.